Before I began recording this video, I was thinking, should I record in the dark or should I record in the light? And I decided to turn on this light because I don't want to get sued by Mike Alvarez for providing YouTube videos in the dark. That's his trademark, is recording these videos just like this. Oh man. Hey guys, I'm on my way to work. I have about 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes to spare. If you guys only knew the challenges of recording these videos, this is actually take number 10. For some reason, today, I just can't talk. And I have an iPhone 8 with 62 or 64 gigabytes of memory. Before I begin editing on a lot of the videos, I have to delete some apps, delete other videos, just to edit another video and then upload it to YouTube. That's the struggles. Guys, when it comes to getting some of this equipment, I am cheap. I look at it as a business perspective. What is the return on investment if I get a new phone, a new iPhone? So I know I need to dump this iPhone 8. I think we're at iPhone 14 or 13. I know it's time, and that time will come. Hey guys, in today's video, let's talk about foot chases, foot pursuits. As a private security officer, is this something that you should do? And also vehicle pursuits as a private security officer. But really, I want to concentrate on foot pursuits. Full disclosure, guys, when I started private security, I got in all kinds of foot pursuits that were prohibited by the company. I got on pursuits in the company golf cart, off property, guys, on public roads, in the company vehicle. Bicycle pursuits, foot pursuits, you name it, off the property. That was me, that was Sean. That was a long time ago. That's when I made a lot more mistakes in life. Every day I'm making mistakes, but that was a time period when I made the most. When I was 18, 19, 20. But that was me, guys. I was very excited when I started security, and I just couldn't let anybody get away. I had to chase them. I couldn't lose. Okay, in private security, is this a good idea? And I'll tell you that most of the time it's not a good idea to get into a foot pursuit. And here's why. The suspect determines the path of travel or the route that they're going to take. A lot of times they rehearsed where they're going to flee to. When I get caught, where am I going to run to? What am I going to do when I get caught? It's all a rehearsal. So you're basing your responses already on an action, and that is delayed time, guys. They're going to know what gate has a hole in it, what gate to slip under. You might think that you know your property ins and outs, but many times these guys, they rehearse their method of escape. They don't think of a lot of other things, but this is some of the things that they do. They plan it. Sometimes they'll wear 3 layers of clothing, 2 layers of clothing, and while they're fleeing from you, they'll find that moment where they can hide real quick and ditch or discard that clothing in a trash can or behind somewhere, giving you the impression, just in case you spotted them, that it's probably not him. These are the things that they do. When you're running after somebody, you may not know the layout, the environment. There's potholes, there's ditches, there's curbs that you're going to trip on. And those of you who have been in security with a hands-on company, or even law enforcement or corrections, you probably know somebody that was injured in a fall, because they're pretty common. I mean, you trip and fall over something, that could be a career-ending opportunity. And I don't say opportunity in a positive light. I mean, it could be career-ending. If you don't believe that security is your career, you want to get into something else that involves work that's very similar to security, you just basically just ended that chance, that opportunity, because of this foot chase that you engage in. It's dangerous. If they scale a wall, I know of a Hawthorne police officer, and this was, I mean, you're talking over 20 years ago. We were taking a physical ability test. We were talking about his career, and he jumped the wall, and the guy waited for him on the other end and stabbed him in the hand. And I believe that he tried to block the stab, and that's why he went right through his hand. That's what they do, guys. They'll wait for you on the other end. Sometimes you don't know if there's another carload of gang members or other people, friends that are waiting for this person at the end of the corner, at the end of the block. It's so unpredictable when they're fleeing. And also, when somebody's running away, they're not thinking in cognitive terms. The animal portion of their brain takes over, and it's fight, flight, and then sometimes they just freeze. But it's usually fight or flight is what I see. When they want to get away from you, just something to think about. You don't know also if you're running after a three-striker. Three-striker referring to somebody who, if convicted, they would spend life in prison. You don't know that. You don't know if you are running after a parolee at large. Those out there who are committing shoplifting crimes have a bunch of other crimes under their belt, you guys, under their experience. And they may be running, you may think that they're running away because they don't want to get caught for shoplifting or vandalism or even burglary. Okay? But you don't know, you don't have their history because they're obviously running away. A lot of these properties, guys, you guys know who the repeat offenders are. You even know their name. A lot of times you even know their date of birth because maybe you detained them before. Maybe you had law enforcement question them before. If you can identify this person, why don't you just let them go? And you can always report that to law enforcement, and the prosecutor can file charges later. Matter of fact, if you ever call the police on somebody and you have an incident number or you have a specific date and time, many times law enforcement has ran that person through the wants and warrant system, and that request over the radio that included the name and date of birth, that's in the logs. So that law enforcement officer can investigate further, look into the logs on a certain date and time. If you have an incident number, that's just so much better, or a log number that makes life so much easier for law enforcement. But if you have the information, it would give their name and date of birth. And I keep mentioning name and date of birth because that is what you need that's a bare minimum in order to file for a warrant later. And I'm talking basically to law enforcement because you're going to hand over your case to law enforcement. That's what law enforcement needs. They need a name and a date of birth to file charges. So these are things to think about. Can they get away later? I want to share this story with you that really changed my mind on foot pursuit. So being somebody that enforces state law on a regular basis, I saw this guy, and the information that I'm giving to you is actually public information. This is not confidential information. I'm just saying that because I don't want you to think that I'm jeopardizing my job when I'm disclosing this. It's all over the newspapers. But there was a guy that I saw walking near an abandoned warehouse. And then he saw me, and I pulled next to him, and all of a sudden he started walking faster. There was a lot of crime in that warehouse. It was abandoned, crime in the neighborhood, and something didn't seem right. So I told him to stop. I told him, stop. And he continued to run. He went underneath the gate, and something told me, guys, Sean, what the hell are you doing? Just stop. You're by yourself. Your backup is, who knows even where your backup is at. Just stop running. You could set a containment if you want, if it's worth it. But Sean, what do you really have? And at that point in time, all I had was a guy that was appearing suspicious, loitering back and forth in front of an abandoned warehouse. There was no houses near there. There's all closed businesses. This is like at 3 o'clock in the morning. right? Maybe even 4 o'clock in the morning. Everything was closed. That area is a high crime area. That's where there's human trafficking going on, narcotic sales, and that's what he was doing. And I decided to just let him go. Later on, I retrieved a bag that he dropped off, and I later learned the story. So this guy traveled 67 hours to my area, and here's what happened, and it's really disturbing when I talk about it. He got into an argument a 6-hour drive away with his wife of about 7 years. He closed the door. His kids were in another room. The kids heard punching sounds, heard the sound of a bat clinging on something. You know the sound that you hear when a bat strikes an object? Just keep hearing that. And all of a sudden, the screams, the yells, the pleas for help stopped. And these kids were young guys, like 6, 8. He left the room, and he had blood all over him. He ended up dropping off the kids. Actually, no, he left the kids in the house by himself. He dragged his wife, disrobed her, took off all of her clothes, put her in a trash bag, and went to my area, dumped her off, and then he was on his way to flee justice. So he was about maybe 4 miles from where he dumped the body, and that's where he met me. This guy is extremely dangerous. He was suicidal at the moment of time. That's what we later learned, and he committed homicide. That's the perfect storm. That's the perfect brew for disaster, guys. And that's who I was about to pursue all the way till the end. Now, had I known who I was looking for, and had I known that this guy was involved in something like that, I think I would have pursued it all the way. Because that's my duty. But I would have approached it in a little bit different manner. It just goes to show you don't know exactly who you're dealing with. I later found this out a whole day later, guys. And I was disturbed. I was disappointed in myself for a couple things. Number one, for letting him go, but I didn't know what he was wanted for. And then second, what I was hammering myself on what could have happened had I been able to reach to him and then grab him. And basically he fled inside of this abandoned warehouse where on all corners, guys, there's transients, there's people who flee justice. They were in there. So I would have been stuck in there fighting on the ground with no light at all around. I don't think maybe it just wasn't worth it. I mean, thinking now, I think maybe, but I just want to show you how dangerous that event could have been. So ask yourself, is it really worth it, guys? You have no idea who you're chasing. This video is primarily for those of you who are in a hands-on security company. This is just something to think about. Looking forward to the thoughts, dialogue. Take care, guys.